Let the record reflect the meeting is reconvened with all members present. As I ask you to rise for the pledge, I will ask you to remain standing for a few minutes or a moment after. If one recognize someone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I want to recognize a Madison resident that we lost last week. One of our members of our greatest generation, a World War II veteran, a Purple Heart recipient, a Bronze Star recipient, and a Madison resident for over 60 years, Bill Burkett, died at the age of 93, and not only a true hero and great representative of Madison, but one of the best neighbors you could ever have, as I live right next to him. So please, moment of silence for Bill Burkett. Thank you. We were hoping to have him lead our Memorial Day parade, but we will certainly give him another recognition on Memorial Day.
Oh, well. That's fine. That's
I have a motion for the executive minutes of January 28th.
So moved. Second.
Discussed in executive, so roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Sukamoto?
Yes.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Welcome. I apologize, we're a few minutes late, and it's great to see some extra representatives in the front row speaking the pledge so loudly. We'll be calling them up shortly. Just a couple of quick announcements. Our next budget hearing is this coming Saturday morning, March 2nd at 9 a.m. I have sent out just an update to department heads and the council members to make a better use of our time, especially as we convene on a Saturday morning. I want to commend our police chief and our fire chief for doing a very good presentation with their budgets, and to ask the other department heads to use that as a guideline. They gave a quick overview of successes of the past year. They talked about where they're going with the department in the coming year, and then they talked about the budget implications of that, and that is the guidelines we want to have. Also, to help the process, I've asked the council members if they have any particular questions, especially for various line items, to send those email the questions to Ray, and he will send them out to the department head so we can get the answers ahead of time to keep things moving. Also, as a follow-up from our last budget meeting, we had a presentation on the open space tax. I was just to be given a quick little overview. It certainly was not a confirmation on where we're going. There are many moving parts. I'm working with Rob right now to hopefully get together with the Madison Athletic Foundation between now and our next meeting to discuss fundraising goals. They did a presentation, and we just want to confirm those goals and finalize that part of the open space puzzle, and there's other moving parts. So we will aiming for a presentation on that at the March 11th meeting. And now I will come down below, and I know we've got Susan Adamo here, and I think we have some students from the Kings Road School, so come on up.
Yeah, here we go. Thank God.
Look at that. That's all right. So, what day is this? Or what is our event we're doing? Do you remember? All right, and why are you wearing these hats? Dr. Seuss. One of the great writers as far as children's books and getting to read. I think next year I will have this written in green eggs and ham language. I don't like green eggs, no, but I do love reading proclamations, and I love when we have people here to accept them. So a proclamation from the Borough of Madison for Read Across America Day, March 1st, 2013. Whereas the citizens of the Borough of Madison stand firmly committed to promoting reading as a catalyst for our students' future academic success and the preparation for America's jobs of the future and their ability to compete in the global economy. And whereas Madison has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education of our youth, grounded in the principle that educational investment is the key to the community's well-being and long-term quality of life. And whereas the NEA's Read Across America, a national celebration of reading, will be conducted on March 1st, 2013, the day that would have been the 109th birthday of Theodore Seuss Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss. Whereas Read Across America NJ is being conducted statewide by New Jersey Education Association in partnership with the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, the New Jersey Library Association, and the local affiliates across the state to promote reading and adult involvement in the education of our community students. Now, therefore, I, Robert H. Conley, the Mayor of the Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, call on the citizens of Madison to assure that every child is in a safe place reading together with a caring adult on March 1st, 2013. Further, we enthusiastically endorse the NEA's Read Across America and Read Across America NJ and recommit our community to engage in programs and activities to make America's children the best readers in the world. Would you like to, I'll hand the microphone. You can introduce yourself and tell us what grade you're in, and then pass it down.
I'm Paige Sanderson. I'm in 5th grade, Mrs. Adamo's class at Kings Road. I'm Avery Donahue. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm also in Mrs. Adamo's class at Kings Road. I'm Claire Shealy, and I'm in Mrs. Goodbar's class in 2nd grade.
I'm Matthew Shahidi, and I'm in 4th grade in Mrs. Eamon's class.
I'm Emmy Smith. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm also in Mrs. Adamo's class.
I'm McCormick Horsey, and I'm also in Mrs. Adamo's class at 5th grade. I'm Margaret Shealy, and I'm also in Mrs. Adamo's class in 5th grade.
I'm Marley Welter, and I am in Mrs. Nicolette's class in 5th grade.
And here's Mrs. O'Donnell.
Hello, I'm Sue Adamo. I teach 5th grade at Kings Road School, and we are so excited about Read Across America. We're going to be having a reading train in school this Friday. We're going to be doing some DEAR, which to you all that means drop everything and read. And we have some guest readers, I think from Rotary, coming in also in the following week. So we're really excited, and thank you for having us. And next year that will rhyme then?
Yeah. You can hold me to that. I go to Central Avenue School next week, so looking forward to that. Now, we know that sometimes when you read, you have to kind of take notes, right? Because you're learning things. So we have something you can take home with you. You don't have to take notes right away. Here is official portfolio of the Borough of Madison. Thank you so much for coming to join us today. There we go. Very good. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. Take care. And next week, you'll be able to watch yourself on TV, on Channel 21, on Cablevision, or I forget what it is on 5. 34? Yeah, 34. And as you might love to hear, class is dismissed, but you're welcome to stay, or you can leave whenever you want. Reports from committees. Health. Ms. Vitale.
Thank you, Mayor. On January 28th, I last reported that the Health Department did a food handlers class. There were 51 participants from Madison and our other contract towns, but the most important part was that there was a 24% increase in learning from pre to post testing. So that was a great accomplishment for the Health Department. The next class will be given April 1st with both morning and evening classes. but early registration is suggested by calling the health department. A survey was taken after the class, and our health department scored a 4.5 in a survey scale that was from 1 to 5. So, of course, they did a great job. And this is a brand new presentation, and I think it's going to be very worthwhile. Another reminder, if you haven't applied for your dog and cat license, this is the last week to get them without incurring a fine. So after this week, there will be a fine. So, get your money in there. The health department has been looking for people to do training in the following. This is called a matter of balance, all right? And the coach training is offered March 27th and 28th from 9:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon at the Madison Health Department. This is a wonderful thing that people are really finding, that most older adults experience concern about falling and restricting their activities. This matter of balance has been very, very successful. So if you feel that you have a little bit of time and you'd like to learn how to teach that class, it would be very gratefully. And there's another one that's called Project Healthy Bone Training, and that's also at the Madison Civic Center, and that training class is March 19th and the 21st. And you have to attend both of those days. And if you want to register, you just call them. And a little explanation, Project Healthy Bones is a low-impact exercise program for both men and women of any age who have been diagnosed with or at risk for osteoporosis. So this is really a great opportunity if you have a couple of minutes and you want to spend some time with some really nice people. I would like to announce that the Board of Health will be working with the Board of Education in the next couple of months. The board feels we might be able to get sanitizers donated for each of the classrooms in the schools. So we're working on someone that will give us those sanitizers. But along with that, the nurses and the health officer will be offering classes in the school to teach proper washing of hands, along with the school nurses. It's going to be an interesting test to find out if the proper washing of hands, or at least with a liquid sanitizer in each one of the classrooms, will reduce the number of colds and flus. So we're going to work very hard on that. We do have a board member that has probably an interested party in giving us the hand sanitizers in each one of the classrooms. They do have them in different spots, but there is not a sanitizer in each one of the classrooms, and that's going to be our goal this year. I saw this little article, and I just want to kind of bring it up. I passed this on to one of the gardeners at the community gardeners, but this is from Interfaith Pantry. And what they're saying is, if you're planning a 2013 garden, and it says, are you among the gardeners who during the cold winter months console themselves by planning next season's garden? And they ask, please keep the pantry in mind as you plan. Add a row or two to help fill the pantry. Our clients are delighted to receive whatever fresh produce comes in, and variety. As they say, the spice of life. Consider multiple plantings of crops that you can grow, harvest, and grow again over the course of the full growing season. So Katie Galton, who is a Madison resident, is the nutrition educator up at Interfaith Pantry. And I thought that this was a great opportunity for all the gardeners up at the community gardens to think about doing something like this. And Interfaith Pantry can pick the fruits of everybody's labor and bring them, because there really is a great need at Interfaith right now for food. Also, a little off the track, I received an email about affordable housing on March 19th. There's going to be a groundbreaking frame and raise a wall at the Strickland Place property. The event starts at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch is at 1 p.m. and the groundbreaking is at 1:30. So if you'd like to swing a hammer, you call Tanya Van Orden at Madison Housing, and perhaps you can help the 3 families who have qualified and will be living there. So that's going to be an exciting day. So hope you can help with all of these little volunteer positions. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mayor.
Utilities, Mr. Caputo.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. I first would like to expand on what Carmela just talked about the exciting news regarding Madison Housing Authority and Morris Habitat Project on Strickland Place in the Orchard area. You may recall that the environmental cleanup work was completed last year. Now the foundation work is done for the 3 single-family, 3-bedroom, 1-car garage, energy-efficient homes. We are now one step closer to turn a long-neglected, environmentally challenged eyesore in the neighborhood into beautiful homes and rateables. More than 160 families from Madison and surrounding areas participated in the application process. After evaluations on income level, credit score, debt-to-income ratio, and many other criteria, 12 qualified applicants were put into a lottery pool for drawing last Thursday night. I am very happy to report that 3 very lucky, moderate income Madison families were selected to be homeowners. They are the Gavashelli, Icanazar, and Artelli families. 2 of the families will be moving from Madison Public Housing into their own homes. There will be no impact to our school system. Without invading the family's privacy, here is how I describe these future homeowners. Local artists, Madison Library employee, and 4th-generation Madisonians. Each family will be required to attend homeownership workshops and provide 300 hours of sweat equity working on the home before the home is sold to each family at $185,000. Morris Habitat will hold their mortgage at 0% interest. I'm just so glad that we can keep these Madison families in Madison and in affordable homes. Carmela already talked about the framing and wall raising and groundbreaking ceremony, and I will follow also with email with official invitation to everybody here. For utility, electric utility, a very small transformer issue resulted in a brief loss of power on Pomeroy the other day. The utility staff mobilized right away and fixed the problem very quickly. The utility crews are continuing making permanent repairs to the temporary work that was completed during the storm. They recently completed Pomeroy and Edgewood and are now working on Holden Lane and Prospect Street. In addition, the first round of substation testing on relays and breakers was recently completed without any issues. With the help of Mr. Burnett, the department is working with Public Power Association of New Jersey and the America Public Power Association to expand mutual aid agreements with neighboring utilities in the Mid-Atlantic and England states. Having established relationships with other utilities will certainly speed the process when Borough calls in additional line crews during an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. Great news in that. Public Works and Engineering, Mr. Cananello.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, we held the first Construction Review Committee meeting for the year. It was attended by several members of the committee. Several people were absent, but also Councilperson Astrid Bailey was present at her first meeting. Hopefully it was as exciting for her as it was for
Absolutely, it was very exciting.
So, you know, we spoke a lot about the roads projects and We actually were wondering, you know, if potentially there was some additional funds, which I believe we're working on with Finance Liaison Wolkowitz. Now, in addition to that, the Bailey Ellard Field came up, and there was quite a bit of discussion regarding that. You know, and as a supporter of recreation, you know, I have a keen interest in it. You know, not only, my record shows that not only have I been a supporter of active recreation by voting on the MRC, positively working quite a bit with the fundraising, both donating time, expertise, and money, but also the community gardens. So recreation is important to me. That's why I think we have to be very careful against proceeding too hastily with the proposed spending of $185,000 from this year's open space budget for work on the Bailey Ellard Fields. At last week's Construction Review Committee meeting, we discussed the project in detail with the borough engineer, and the fact of the matter is the plans have not been fully vetted for some time, nor have key elements of the project, such as bathroom facilities, lighting, have they been decided upon or properly incorporated into the plans. The often discussed price tag for the project is $350,000, yet when the committee queried the borough engineer on that estimate, he told us it was an old one and that it needed to be reviewed. Now again, I support recreation in Madison, but I also support doing projects right the first time and not throwing good money after bad. In this spirit, we asked the borough engineer to fine-tune his cost estimate and to include pricing for several variants such as lighting, bathrooms, snack bars, etc., and I look forward to his results. I have total faith in the engineer and his staff, and I am quite certain that with the proper planning, the team can replicate the successful work they performed on the award-winning MRC Turf Field project. The decision to proceed should not be based solely on the updated cost of the project. The decision to proceed should be based on need. There is a very legitimate concern that the loss of playing fields at the Green Village Road School will cause a significant disruption in the current usage and availability of fields for all sports. Please keep in mind that softball, soccer, lacrosse, and field hockey all use Bailey Ellard, and it is also used as an overflow field for Madison Junior School. I feel the first step in addressing these very legitimate concerns is to thoroughly update the recreation master plan for Madison. The existing master plan was put together prior to the construction of the MRC Turf Field project, and I feel our recreation director needs to work with all stakeholders to update this plan. We also need to work closely with our partners at the Board of Education in assessing our need for playing fields and find out if the Board of Ed is planning to proceed with the construction of 2 turf fields after the sale of GVR. Clearly, if our partners at the BOE construct 1 or more turf fields, given our long-standing partnership regarding athletic facilities, we may not need Bailey Ellard at all. Additionally, there are fields in town that are currently not being used to their potential, such as Niles Park, Del Barton Field, or some of the junior school fields, and they could, in a much shorter time, be refurbished and playable for a fraction of the cost. Why spend precious funds on assets we may not need? And we will not know the answer to this question until we do the research. I was not on council when we bought Bailey Ellard, but it seems as though we may have rushed into the decision. Hindsight is 20/20, and given that, you know, a large portion of the property needs remediation, it's pretty clear that some due diligence and soil testing was lacking. We cannot afford to make the same mistake twice by rushing into another decision at Bailey until we have all the facts. As a supporter of recreation in Madison and as a taxpayer, I must urge caution and insist that we spend no money on this project until we have an updated recreation master plan and we learn if more turf fields will become available in the borough. I will be happy to vote for the Bailey Ellard Fields project if, in fact, the recreation plan dictates the necessity. I look forward to speaking more about this in the upcoming budget meetings. Thank you.
Thank you for the thorough report. Just a reminder, any of the concepts of Bailey Ellard Field have not come up to the council, as would be the process, and so it will be fully vetted as everything else is. And we have also talked to the Board of Education with the update of Recreation Master Plan. I know Bob Landergan as the liaison to Rec Department, or at the Recreation Committee. It was discussed at the last meeting, and they will be working on that. So those are all things in process, and you know, we should try to keep the report to what has actually been brought to the council, but appreciate the thorough
It was discussed it was discussed for maybe a half an hour at the construction review committee meeting, the last half hour, so I felt as though it was
All right.
legitimate.
Community Affairs, Mr. Landrigan.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. The Madison Senior Center is working on their spring program. It's going to take place on April 13th. It's called Editing Your Life. I'll be bringing more information about that as it gets closer. They're working on different presenters and different tables that'll be there. So as time comes on, I'll give you more information on that. But from what I can tell from last year, it's a very, very good program, and I would encourage everybody to attend. In addition, if you remember a while back, Council President Vitale worked on getting a new senior van in place. The old one was just about ready to fall apart. Well, I'm happy to tell you that it's being put to very good use. Ridership is up. They're looking to refine the schedule because more people want to use it. So thank you, Council President. It was a very good effort on your part. Also, May Day is May 4th. Get ready for that. I know that's the day when everybody gets to shovel. I guess we're going to have plenty of mulch this year from the storms we had, so we'll be spreading that around the town. So more to do on that. In regards to OEM, I'm working with FEMA right now, and like I've been saying, the commitment, I'm trying to get back over $1 million, and I'm hopeful that we'll get that. Preceding and following each of the recent storms, we held a meeting, and we had a long checklist of things that needed to be done. And one thing we did learn after the last storm is that, you know, we're kind of on our own, and anything that we can do to get additional resources and commitments to those resources is of vital importance. I know during the last storm, Hurricane Sandy, thank God, Ray Cody and Jim Burnett were there. They were able to latch on to some line crews from out of town. And like Councilwoman Sukumoto just mentioned, they've now entered into a kind of a mutual aid agreement. So I want to thank both of them. That's a big item off my list. So thank you, Ray, and thank you, Jim, for that. Also, one of the big issues that we have is shelters. The ambulance corps has been used in the past. Council President Vitale is now working on a grant program to get a generator put up at the Madison Community House. It's an ADA compliant facility, and if the grant comes through, it'll be a little or no cost to the borough. And I know we're also looking to get maybe one for the Madison Y. Both centrally located good facilities. That'll be two big items off our list going forward. During Hurricane Sandy, Madison Medical, Dr. Laevsky and Dr. Romano really stepped forward. They opened up, they not only visited people in town, but they opened up their practice in the event we couldn't get people to the hospital. So that firm, that practice has been named Town Physicians. And I want to thank them, and if they watch this film, you know, thank you for doing that for this town. It's much deserved. And then finally, if you recall, there was a serious fire at 85 Park Avenue. Since then, I'm working with the health department, and we're going to form a partnership with different churches in town. And God forbid something like that should happen again, the health department will be a point of contact where these people can go and get needed resources such as furniture. I know there's a church in town, I believe it's Grace Church, that has donated furniture which they can give out to families. And I know St. Vincent's is also going to work with us. So, Carmelo, when you talk to the health department, tell them I'll be in touch with them real soon. In regards to the field projects, I had a very productive meeting with the rec department. I'll be updating you more on that. What I will tell you is this town is in very dire need of a field restoration program now. The grass fields that we have are in bad shape. We need to rest them to make them safe for the children. So I'm working with the rec department. It was made very clear to me in those meetings that this is something that we really can't put off too long. So I know Councilman Catalanello is looking at it as well because this is going to be an expenditure of money, but in the long run it will benefit the children of this town. So I'll be bringing you much, much more information on that as I meet with the different members of the rec community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety. Ms. Bailey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm also liaison to open space, recreation, and historic preservation. I'm just going to talk briefly about that tonight. From time to time, the editorial pages of the local papers have articles extolling the benefits of open space for New Jersey residents. Just today, well, several weeks ago, Michelle Byers of the New Jersey Conservation Foundation wrote in the Star Ledger an article entitled, "Preserved Lands Will Help Fight Climate Change." Today in the Star Ledger, there was another article on open space preservation that states the need to preserve open space in New Jersey is beyond dispute. The 1998 Garden State Preservation Trust Act, which was a bipartisan effort and had bipartisan support, dedicated $98 million in sales tax revenues for open space, farmland, and historic preservation. The people of New Jersey voted yes for this. This preservation initiative has been hailed as a national model. Now, Madison residents overwhelmingly supported a referendum here in 2003 to support 2 cents tax on every $100 of assessed value to support open space acquisition, recreational development, and historic preservation. That's what it can be used for. It can't be used for operating expenses. The dollars collected were leveraged by other dollars from the Green Acres Fund, from the County Trust. As land became available, the Madison Open Space Committee recommended to the council tracts of land to purchase and grants to help acquire those tracts. We used a little bit of Madison money and a lot of county money and a lot of state money. As a result, Madison has acquired land for parks, land for a beautiful turf field, and preserved an important part of our history, the Luke Miller House. Open space preservation reduces traffic congestion, protects our water supply, and increases our home values. The decision to buy Bailey Ellard, by implication, it sounded like it was a hasty decision. It wasn't. It was well thought out. Again, a little bit of Madison money was used, and a lot of open space county money and state money. Also, the land up there is zoned to be open space. That's what it is. It can be used for. It couldn't be used for anything else. Thank you, Mayor.
And Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Wall.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be very brief. I'd just like to reiterate the Mayor's opening remarks regarding a meeting on March 2nd. That'll be the third of our 3 budget hearings or working sessions. And at this particular one, we'll be talking about and have representation from our Board of Health, our water utility, our electric utility, and we'll also be discussing our capital budget. So if you can make it, that would be wonderful. If you cannot, it will be broadcast in the usual method. And I just want to say that anyone who has any questions about our budget, you can reach me. And I've had numerous conversations over the last 2 weeks, and I'm available and will continue to make myself available for that reason. The other thing I wanted to mention is at the next meeting of this council, we will be discussing the revaluation of property in Madison, a topic that I think, having received a recent postcard, you're all aware of. And the implications of that are worth a bit of time. You shouldn't think that because the number went up, your taxes will go up. That's not the case at all. So if you can, be here at our next meeting. We're going to have the people who are involved in doing the work be here and answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had some fairly extensive reports that I think pushed the envelope of committee reports, so hopefully in future meetings we can stay to the committee reports, and that's directed to everyone. Thank you. Communications and petitions.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor and Council received one email dated February the 19th from Pat Rowe of Pine Avenue regarding the municipal budget.
All right, now we are on the invitation for discussion, 1 of 2. This is the one with the restrictions. You may come up and ask questions or comment on any of the agenda discussions. We only have a single agenda discussion, which is Little League field improvements, or you can also comment or ask questions on any of the resolutions. The ordinance on the electric improvement fund of $165,000 is up for final hearing, so if you want to talk on that, you will have the opportunity when we call that ordinance up. So with those guidelines and the fact that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, you may step up to the lectern, state your name, your address, and write the same on the clipboard. Anyone wishing to be heard at this moment on agenda item or resolutions? There will be a later point when you can comment on anything. Seeing none, I close this part of the agenda and move to agenda discussions, Little League field improvements, agenda rec from Bob Landrigan. I know that Ernie Saccone is also here. So Bob, you want to start, and then Ernie, you can step on up to the lectern in case there's any questions.
Okay, as you know, the Madison Little League plays a very important part of our town, and they go a long way to maintaining the fields that they play on. And what Ernie's going to present now is a plan for some improvements that he would like to make to those fields. I reviewed it, and it's a very sound improvement plan. So thank you, Ernie.
Good evening. Ernie Saccone, 31 Seven Oak Circle, Madison. I'm here tonight as my capacity as president of the Madison Little League on behalf of our board of directors. And what we have is our wish list this year. And again, this would be at zero cost to the borough, to the extent that it's going to involve any sort of purchase of materials. The Little League will be funding that through our own fundraising efforts and sources of revenue, such as our local sponsors, which we, of course, thank once again. Volunteer labor will be used in order to do the work. So I just want to preface it with those words. As you can see, we're going to focus our priorities this year. I mean, we have a number of long-term improvements we want to make to various fields in addition to the ongoing maintenance, but our two main fields we want to work on this year, and our two at the top of the list are the Rosedale Fields and Dodge Field. Rosedale Fields, there's an existing batting cage which we would like to move. Where it is sort of impedes the viewing of games at two fields at the same time. So we've had input from our parents who would like to have an area there where they could sit and right in front of the concession stand and be there with the smaller kids. So eventually, I don't know that we'll have the resources this year to do it, but eventually when we clear out that, with your approval, when we clear out that batting cage, we would have a little, some picnic benches there and hopefully a small pavilion. Again, that's where the existing cage is, so it would not be seen at all. It's behind the hut. If you're looking at the fields, it's pretty much wedged between the two fields. So the batting cage that we would be moving, we'd be putting over to the grass area, which is to the left if you're looking down from the street, to the left of the concession stand in that grass area before you go to the path that goes down towards ultimately Del Barton Field. And that would be the smaller structure. It wouldn't be the fenced-in enclosure. It would be basically 4 posts with netting that we would take down during the winter, and we would surround it with shrubbery, put up some tall arborvitae. That would be the intention, basically to keep that area secluded so that whatever's going on in there, batting or pitching, no one's hanging on the fence. The shrubbery acts as a barrier, same as we have it behind the two fields. So that's the work over at the Rosedale Fields that we're hoping to do before the season starts this year. And over at Dodge, they're existing, you may not be aware of it, but about 2 years ago we put down 2 small mounds and home plates along the side of the fence going down Britain and Central, just inside the fence. We needed that mostly because the high school uses that field a couple of times a year, and they needed some place to warm up, and then also when we have tournament games there. So basically, where those 2 areas are now, we would basically enclose those so that it could also be used for as batting cages. And again, that would only be basically it's the space inside the tree, between the trees and the fence, where the existing mound is, if you're familiar with that, and it would be subject, as it says here, to approval by the borough engineer and the superintendent of public works. So it's it's very unobtrusive. It's where the existing mounds are. It would just be batting cages that would go alongside the existing fence. And then probably top on my personal wish list is the dugouts, the two, I call them dugouts, but they're just benches over on either side, first base and third base. Always floods, and it's always, I mean, we put down cardboard and whatever just to sop up the water. So what we want to do is put down concrete pads. We did the same thing at Lucy D last year. We put down 4 of them. So we would put down 2 over at the 2 dugout areas over at Dodge. And ultimately, and again, I don't know that we'd have the resources this year, ultimately we would put up awnings similar to what we have at the Myrtle Avenue and the Hut Fields over at Lucy D that would provide some shade for the players, especially during the heat of the summer. So we would want to make the pads big enough so that ultimately we'd put up the posts and put the awnings over there. So over at Dodge, 2 relatively narrow batting cages in the L right inside the fence, and 2 concrete pads, which ultimately would hopefully be awnings, again, all subject to approval ultimately. But for this year, we'd at least want to just put down the concrete pads. But that's the objective. So happy to take any questions.
Bob? Yeah, Ernie, when we had spoken earlier, you're going to get me more information on the awnings, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We have, we're looking to see who does those. We've scouted some out at some different places. I know Chatham has some, and we think are pretty nice. So we're getting that information together, and we'll get that to you. Like I said, the cost of that is probably twice as much as it is for the pads. So the idea is to at least do the pads this year, and then ultimately the awnings. If we could do it, great, but I won't expect to see them there this year.
All righty. Thank you, Ernie.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Ernie. This is Resolution R87.
Okay, thank you.
That is listed on the consent agenda. That is it for agenda discussions for this meeting. Ordinances for hearing.
The ordinance scheduled for hearing was introduced by title and passed on first reading at a regular meeting of the council held on February the 11th, 2013. It was posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up Ordinance 2-2013 for second reading and ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $165,000 from the Electric Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of a new digger derrick truck.
I open the hearing. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on Ordinance 2-2013? Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 2-2013.
I'll second.
Council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Sukamoto?
Yes?
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
I declare Ordinance 2-2013 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. All right, now this is our second invitation for discussion. This is not limited to things on the agenda. You may come up and comment on anything. And again, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and when you come up, state your name, address, and write the same on there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vincent Barisha. I'm a member of Local 32 BJ Service International Employers Union. I'm here with some of my union brothers and sisters tonight to share with them some information that we think will help Madison select a responsible redeveloper for Green Village Road School property. Madison is in a situation a lot like one of our friends up the road in Metuchen faced last year. Just like in Metuchen, a large irresponsible corporation called Avalon Bay Communities has come to Madison with hopes of being selected for new redevelopment projects. And just like in Metuchen, you have the option to choose another developer. Metuchen decided to say no way to Avalon Bay. Hundreds of citizens sent postcards asking decision makers not to choose Avalon Bay for its redevelopment project. We think that you will agree that Avalon would be the wrong choice for Madison as well. As your fellow New Jerseyan, we are sure that good people of Madison believe that everyone deserves a safe workplace and fair wages. So you should know that Avalon Bay has repeatedly failed to properly ensure the safety of men and women building its complexes. In March 2007, a 28-year-old carpenter named Oscar Pintado died when he fell 45 feet from an Avalon Bay construction project in Massachusetts. Since that time, other workers have been injured from falls at Avalon Bay work sites, and federal and state safety agencies have found more than 60 fall protection and related violations on Avalon Bay construction projects, including projects here in New Jersey. You should also know that Avalon Bay has utilized irresponsible construction contractors who have failed to properly pay workers on Avalon Bay work sites. By the way, if anyone here tonight would like to learn more about the safety and wage and hourly violations on Avalon Bay construction sites, we have fact sheets here that we would be more than happy to share with you. Finally, you should know that problems with Avalon Bay don't end when construction is completed. Workers that staff and maintain the company's luxury apartment buildings often find that they don't have access to affordable health insurance. We think that Madison deserves better than this. We know that many people here have already worked very hard to ensure that this project is a success. They deserve to do business with a developer that they know will build safely and responsibly and provide good jobs. They deserve a better partner, and everyone in Madison deserves a better neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Don?
Don Brummer, 20 Redmond Drive. There was discussion at the last meeting, Councilwoman Sukamoto and Catalano's letter to the Eagle about reducing the open space tax. Just wondered whether the Borough Council as a whole was going to discuss this issue.
Yes, that will be as part of the budget process, and certainly before the new tax rate takes effect, we will be discussing it. The target is the March 11th meeting.
Okay, will we be discussing it this Saturday, or is that the next council meeting?
No, we did a presentation at the last council meeting, so that is, I mean, at the last budget meeting, so that'll be visible or viewable at the website. It is not on the agenda for this Saturday, but hopefully on the agenda for March 11th. That is the target.
Yeah, I missed the last budget meeting, but I just wondered whether the two council people are satisfied with the response they got from the entire council.
It's actually, this is not a time for interviewing council members, so certainly when it's on the agenda, all council members will share where it's going, and we don't have the final answer at this point anyway. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. There are no ordinances for introduction. Consent agenda resolutions.
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move the consent agenda resolutions R85, R-2013 to R-96, 2013.
Second that.
Discussion? Any, Jeannie?
Yeah, regarding Resolution 85, which is a donation of our police department's surplus bulletproof vests. I have a question for the attorney to see if we need to include in the resolution to state that the bulletproof vests are as is condition, and so that way that will protect us from any future liability.
That's something you could certainly include in there if you.
So if we were to, then we need to put a paragraph in there for 85, if everyone's agreeable to that.
Want to add a word? Can you craft a quick whereas to?
Sure.
Sorry, forgot to mention it earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
In the executive
Yeah, and
portion.
certainly as we get the packets out, anytime you see something, if you hit the event to send it, we can always amend it and post.
I think, just to keep it as simple as possible, be donated, I'm sorry, the second whereas, bulletproof vest be donated, comma, as is, to the Morris County Police Academy.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was easy.
That's great.
All right.
That's good.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Sukamoto?
Yes.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
No unfinished business. Approval of vouchers.
Okay, we have Public Safety, $26,510.02. Health and Public Assistance, $1,261.36. Public Works and Engineering, $289,374.99. Community Affairs, $69,534.59. Finance and Borough Clerk, $146,217.21, and utilities, $1,347,816.09. The grand total is $1,880,714.26.
Mayor, I move approval of the vouchers.
Second that?
Discussion. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Sukamoto?
Yes.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Right, under new business, two appointments, mayoral appointments requesting council confirmation. One is to the Sustainable Madison Committee, and that is of Ellen Cranefuss, who will take the unexpired term of Ben Wolkowitz. That's December 31st, 2014, and she brings strategic planning, has volunteered in our school system, and is a speaker on environmental practices at local land conservancy. And then for the Board of Health, for the unexpired term of Jill Rebholz, expiring December 31st, 2015, Mary Ann McConnell brings, these both have coming from their leadership forums, experience as a public health nurse, Morris County Visiting Nurses Association, member of New Jersey State Bar Association, American Association of Nurse Attorneys, Board of Directors, Mental Health Association, New Jersey Medical Practitioner Review Panel, and those are the highlights of her experience. So I ask a motion to approve those.
I'll move that.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Sukamoto?
Yes.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolkowitz.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Well, you had to talk this time, though. So we're easy wins this whole thing.
Oh, is he?